Shalom Aleichem, viewer. May the Elohim of Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac bless you. My name is Elijah. Here and now I need to point out a particular act of deception at work with men such as Condell, the act of deception being the pretense of representing some vague notion of free speech. Freedom itself is abstract and fluid, so free speech is doubtless metaphysical, subjective and biased. However, at its heart, free speech revolves around the concept that an individual, or group of individuals, is at liberty to raise legitimate voices of dissent and express a legitimate opinion which may be at variance with a given authority, legitimacy, one would presume, being established on the sincerity and veracity of the issues being raised. For example, it is legitimate for an individual to raise a voice of dissent against a political leader, providing that dissent is based on issues of dubious governmental policy, or on something pertaining to personal conduct which may impair the ability to lead, or might render void their right to do so. Right motive and veracity are key. Yet the uneducated upstart throws both to the wind. In utilizing discredited sources in his videos, withholding information, scaremongering, question-begging and misleading his audience, while working on their general ignorance and their trust, Condell abuses the right to freedom of speech. In fact, he operates in such an intellectually dishonest manner that one must presume the purpose can only be to mindlessly offend, concocting visceral canards and diatribes consisting of little more than chicanery, to achieve the desired level of insult. In short, Pat is simply the mouthpiece of inane conspiracy, a wastrel and a clothes horse, one willing to wear any old and tattered smock thrown upon him by his fellow Mazaldist desperados. Condell is no freethinker. He can't think. He merely absorbs ignorance, synthesizes it and regurgitates it. For instance, in one video, The Trouble with Islam, he seems to be basing his claims that Islam is the world's fastest growing religion on statistics from the Reader's Digest Almanac and Yearbook, 1983. Pat has no integrity. He is all spin, no substance, and no originality. His moonlighting on YouTube is about lining his own pocket, massaging an ego of mammoth proportions, and spreading hatred. It has nothing at all to do with defending freedom of speech, of that we can be sure. In the past, Pat has likened Christians and Muslims to pigs and dogs. Think about it. Would we accept an individual making videos in which blacks were referred to as monkeys and jungle bunnies? Or Jews described as kikes and Shylocks? If not, why should we tolerate an individual attempting to render subhuman two other huge demographics? Hate is hate, period. Condell is the enemy of free speech. An abuser of a right, endangers that right and is, therefore, the enemy. He is infantile in his approach to the sophisticated art of free speech, so rather than use his right productively, he chooses to subject others to degrading insults, crossing the line from freedom of speech to hate speech in the process. Like an insane household Hitler, Condell froths at the mouth, while demonizing those holding beliefs which he cannot understand or tolerate, hoping to ostracize, subdue, and control them under the guise of freedom. His freedom, but not mine. Pat even solicits state interference in the way I choose to raise my children as a theist, yet bewails any church interference in the state. So in other words, he desires a dogmatic, institutionalized form of atheism as a state religion. Unfortunately, the hypocrite is for real. That is why I must expose Pat Condell, and you must play your part. You owe it to your children, and you owe it to the God-given right of freedom. You have an obligation to fight this fascist. Thanks for listening.